Welcome to the GCN Tech Clinic, where I try and solve your bike-related problems that you leave down there in the comment section below, or alternatively, on all forms of social media using the hashtag AskGCNTech. So if you've got something troubling you, let me know. Right, with no further ado, let's crack on with the first question this week that comes in from Blaz Mesner, who says, hi, wondering if there's any way to make mechanical cables on the cockpit look as neat as electrical. It just looks so good when the cockpit is so clean. Right, Blaz, a couple of things you could do here. Firstly, before you go ahead and put your handlebar tape on over the bars, actually route those cables, so the both brake and gears, as closely as possible together, so like parallel, and tape them on with some insulation tape. Now, some people like to wrap it fully on. I just like to give a couple of bits and just hold it firmly in place. That's going to give a neat appearance, really, of the cables underneath the actual handlebar tape. But you say about, at the front it looks a little bit cluttered. I mean, really, that's just something where you've got to accept that you've got 4 cables there. You could, I guess, heat shrink the cables together as well, and then perform the cuts of the heat shrink at the last possible minute, so they try and remain as one big bit instead of 2 smaller bits. But ultimately, you're not going to get that super clean look that you really desire, I don't think, unless, of course, you go to SRAM and their ETAP setup, which is wireless, of course. Right, now we've got Chris Sellen, who says, hi John, great videos, thanks, I'm a real fan. No problem, Chris. I have an Ultegra Di2 group set with 52 36 chain rings and an 11 to 30 cassette. Unfortunately, it is always slightly noisy in the big ring and normally quiet in the small ring. I've tried re-indexing myself, and the local bike shop tried it, oiling, cleaning, etc. And I've even checked the chain and cassette, and they look okay. The front mech does not seem to be touching the chain either. Any ideas as to what it might be? Love this question, Chris. I'm about to call you Craig then, but I've got your right name. So I've noticed this actually on the latest generations of Ultegra and also Dura-Ace. I've not tried it on the 105 yet, and I've also asked some pro mechanics if they've noticed it being ever so slightly noisier than the previous generations, and they agreed, or at least the ones I've asked, whereas loads of people out there don't actually notice a difference whatsoever. But I've got a feeling it could well be because on the Shadow style rear derailleurs that we've got now, there's an increased amount of spring tension in the cage of the rear mech, and that basically seems to be causing that noise. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It just seems to be something with the jockey, like the pulley wheels, jockey wheels, and the chain. I think that's where that noise is coming from, rather than the actual chain set. I want people to get involved actually in the comment section down below. Have they noticed the latest generation of Shimano is slightly noisier? It's not an annoying noise or anything, it's just the kind of the chain noise. Is it noisier than the previous one? Get involved in the comment section down below, because I'm pretty sure that's what it is, just that increased tension of the spring. Next up is Vishvar Dev, who says, hey John, every time I take a tyre out of the rim to change the inner tube and put it back, I find a slight wobble in the tyre when I give it a spin. Is it because I've not put the tyre back on properly, or is there a technique in which I can make sure the tyre is perfectly in line without the wobble? I guess it's not properly seated into the rim. Right, Vishvar, there isn't really a technique for this. This sort of problem, I guess you could call it, has only been around, I reckon, about the last 5 years. It tends to be basically that the tyres and the rim interfaces have become more suitable for tubeless tyres. I reckon you've probably got a tubeless compatible rim there, and that allows the tyre to pop into place. So when you're putting that inner tube in, make sure it's fully inside of the tyre and inflate the inner tube a small amount, and make sure that the actual inner tube itself is not bulging out between the sidewall, the actual bead of the tyre and the inner sidewall of the rim. What I like to do is not go ahead and inflate it and just hope it pops into place, but actually try and massage the tyre into place and get that to actually find its way on the rim correctly, rather than allowing you to pump away. And I never like the big popping or clicking noise that the tyre makes, but there's no real fail-safe technique, I guess. You could use something, some people out there use like washing up liquid on the wheels or on the inside of the rim to try and help it slide into place, but then you have to wash it off straight away, otherwise of course if you go out and brake, your brakes aren't going to work because you've got soap on them. Alternatively, talcum powder, that's something else which I put inside sometimes to try and help them slide into place, but give that a go and hopefully you won't find it so troublesome going forward. Next up we've got Nur Mohammed Hanif, who says, hey John, I'm planning on converting my 2x road bike to a 1x. The only rear derailleur with a clutch mech Shimano offer for road bikes is the Ultegra RX. I was wondering though if the mountain bike rear mechs are cross-compatible with the road groupset parts. The old Dior have a similar shadow design and have a clutch mech, but for half the price of the Ultegra one. I was wondering if I could get the same function and maybe performance from the Dior instead of the Ultegra one. All right, love this one. Yeah, possible to do it. Probably giving away really the secrets that some people don't want me to give away. But yeah, you get yourself a wolf tooth tan pan, which goes onto the derailleur body. So when your cable goes in, your outer cable, instead of it going all the way in, you put this little roller, this little wheel there instead. And what that does is it adjusts the amount of cable pull that your lever is giving, and it means it works with a mountain bike rear mech. You can thank me later. Next up is Popular, who says, hi GCN, my Sora R3000 group set can shift up the cassette by 3 gears, but only on the small cogs 11 to 16. On the bigger cogs, it will only shift 2 gears. The third click can be forced by pulling the cable by hand. Tightening the cable just ruins the indexing. Right, this one sounds like it's probably your limit screw. So it works down at the higher end of the block, so the 11 to 16. So I reckon you need to turn that H screw in a little bit because basically as you're getting through the gears, the cable tension is becoming, it's very, very hard to explain this, but I would give the H screw a tiny little turn, maybe pull through the cable again and just tighten that up, and then index the gears and it may well work okay. I don't see any problem why it wouldn't. What's happened previously in the previous steps, just trying to explain this in the easiest way possible, is you're taking up the slack in the cable and eventually it runs out and you don't have any more room for it. It's very, very difficult to explain. So I'll go ahead, play around with the H screw and just adjust the cable tension, index it. What you need to consider here too is actually, it sounds really, really daft because I know, right, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, but I want to be able to change those 3 gears at once. How often do you need to do that out on your bike? Like, I'm a real perfectionist when it comes to it. If something doesn't work properly, I will faff around, I'll not go to bed, I will waste so much time trying to solve something. But you don't really need to ever be able to change those 3 gears at once. But do those steps I've mentioned and I reckon it will be sorted for you. Alternatively, it could well be your mech hanger is slightly out of line and it means that once that cable, once that derailleur is working its way over, it's just got more work to do but for the same amount of cable pull. Bikes, they're not as easy as everyone thinks. Next up, we've got Paul, who says, can I replace my Tiagra FC 4700 crankset with a 105 FC R7000 without an issue? It's a Trek Checkpoint ALR4 BB 86.5, thanks. Yeah, no problem at all, mate. Both of them are Shimano Holotech 2. Go ahead and do it, it'll work fine. Next up is Al, who says, is it me or are road disc brakes way more tedious to keep running nicely as opposed to mountain bike ones? Rotor rub, ticking after heavy braking, why? Okay, I suppose one of the reasons that maybe road bikes, disc brakes get a bit of a hard time is that basically the reservoir on the levers and the shifters on a road bike is a bit smaller than that on a mountain bike traditionally, and what you're asking it to do is the same operation. It's kind of a scaled down version of what the mountain bike setup is, but I think we need to lay off of disc brakes. They're not actually that troublesome whatsoever. I just think as technology and the actual mechanics in the building of disc brakes on road bikes improves and goes on, they will be without their problems, just like mountain bike. I mean, mountain bike disc brakes, when they started, they had their problems and they've gone. And road bikes, I don't really encounter any problems on them. And I could go on and on and on about this, but I think give them a bit of an easier time, Al. Come on, mate. Neon Matt now, penultimate one this week. Neon Matt says, I have some wheels with a worn out braking surface in the garage. Is it safe for me to use them on a set of rollers or indoor trainer where I don't need to brake? That way I can switch to harder wearing tyres more easily and don't need to worry about changing the tyre every time or buying a whole new wheel set. Thanks for your help. Nice question. Not really ever thought about this one before. I wouldn't advise it. The reason being, if your brake tracks are worn out on the side, it means that the structural integrity of the whole wheel is not going to be as intended. So where the spokes are pulling out from the rims, from their little eyelets, they then could be under more stress than normal, leading to a complete failure and collapse. And that's not something I would ever advise. What you could do though is just buy yourself a cheap rear wheel. That's what I did many years ago. Just bought myself a really cheap basic, I think it was like a 10-speed hub on there, and I just put a turbo trainer tyre on that and just used that instead. And that was my dedicated turbo wheel. But yeah, don't use something which is basically broken already. And the final question this week comes in from Mike Kirtland, who says, "Hi John, love the show. I'm building up a winter commuter bike and I'm going one by." What is it, everyone going one by? And using Shimano hydraulic brakes and shifters. Can I use the Rode STI levers for a mountain bike rear derailleur? I want to have a 40-tooth cassette on the back, and I don't think a 105 mech would be able to cope. Right, okay, let's try and put this out there once and for all. Anything 10 speed and up, road and mountain bike cross compatibility doesn't work ideally. There will be people now saying, yes, it does, I've done it, it's absolutely fine. I'm sure it is, but some of us are maybe slightly fussier. I don't know, I'll leave that one with you. But what you can get is the aforementioned wolf tooth tan pan. It's a difficult one for me to say for some reason. And again, that adjusts the actual cable pull, so you can get away with that. And that really is about all I could suggest. In the past, people have done all sorts of trying to route the cable at a different part of the cable clamp and things to try and get it to work, but I have been told those wolf tooth things work pretty well. Right, like I said at the start, if you've got yourself a tech problem, leave it for me down there in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer it in an upcoming episode. Remember as well, like and share this video with your friends. Don't forget to check out the GCN shop at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. For 2 more great videos, click just down here and just down here. And I'll be back soon with another tech clinic.